Good morning, Matt.
Oh, good morning, Will.
Good morning to all of you.
Welcome to Games for Breakfast, the only internet talk show we talk about this week's gaming and tech news, but where we've also patently patented my idea of depriving myself of coffee until we start this show. I think I'm going to challenge my own patent because I've realized that for the first 15 minutes of this show, I do struggle bus a little bit. And then I realize after a bit, I like kick in and it like goes hard. So maybe I'll revisit that patent or change that patent, you know, if that office worked in the way that it was intended.
That's a big if, Matt.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
That's a real big if.
Nah.
Oh, we'll get to it later.
How you doing, Will?
I'm hanging in there, Matt.
You got your shades on.
I do. I have, it's real gross, chat. I've been having a sinus thing. It's taking one of my eyes do real gross things, and y'all don't need to see that. So we're just gonna go with this to protect your own sensibilities.
Solidarity.
Yeah, I'm fine.
It
looks real bad.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
That's no good.
It's okay. It happens. It's life.
But you know, your future's so bright.
It's
you
true.
gotta wear those shades.
Yeah. Actually, what was it? All I can think of now is the Be Your Idol Soulja Boys.
Okay.
But the Soulja Boys, because that for some reason has shown up more than any of the other tracks from K-pop Demon Hunters in recent memory, just like in random places.
Because it's the sleeper hit.
It is actually really good.
It's the sleeper hit.
They're all like. Let me be clear. All of the tracks from K-pop Demon Hunters slap. That one slaps in a way that like gets you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Agreed. Hey, Janet, hello. Welcome, YouTube. We were just hanging out over on Twitch right beforehand, talking about some Twitch stuff, but now we're here with all of you, and we are very happy to be here. We have a show of shows.
No lies were detected, Annie. That's correct.
Oh, Annie's? Yeah, that's
It's
very
a really
true
good
statement.
Yeah. The last Disney song that I would consider a great villain song is full of slurs. So
yeah, Disney.
Yeah.
Disney was all
Thanks,
about that
Hellfire.
life for a minute.
Hellfire's a great villain song if you ignore like the lyrics, like just the tone of Hellfire is great, but like that did not age well. That aged kind of like someone was trying to cultivate yogurt and mist.
Listen, there is a I'm just seeing some Soulja Boys love in the chats. Both of the tracks that they have in this are 1000% fire. Soda Pop is great because it's like poppy and joyous, but it's also evil. And so it still works in line with what the villains are trying to do. And then of course Idol is just truth.
Yeah. Well, not to completely derail us, but I think one of the reasons that it's really great is it follows one of the most interesting villain arcs, which is that a hero would sacrifice you to save the world, and a villain would sacrifice the world to save you.
Right.
And that feeling is one of the things that makes like compelling villains.
Yeah.
And it's not exactly that in the story, but it gives the listener that impression.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, it's very,
The only thing that has been able to this is not music for breakfast, and yet here we are. The only thing that's been able to unseat K-pop Demon Hunters in my repertoire, in the earworm playlist that goes on continually in my head, has actually been a few tracks off Sabrina Carpenter's album. There's one called Go-Go Juice, which is like lightly country and hilarious. And
sousson of country sprinkled on the top, if you will.
It's pretty good, and if you're looking, it will get stuck if you're interested in that.
Yeah.
But anywho, we're not here to talk about chart toppers.
No, we're here to talk about other chart toppers. Silksong returns this week on over on the Twitch channel. If you're interested in watching me play through Silksong, my goal is 100%. I've so far gotten through a fair amount. I have lots of thoughts, feelings, opinions, and I am in the process of, as the kids would say, getting good. We'll talk about it more right after this. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, Thursday, no Silksong, but there is Design Club and me and Matt doing stuff on Thursday. That's your schedule update for this week in brief.
In brief. But another thing we want to talk about, because this actually, this got me excited. I knew we were going to talk about this one way or the other, and I don't think we did before, but if we did, oh well, you get it twice.
I don't think we did.
What? I don't think we did either. Remember back in May?
I remember.
The birthday stream where we played Fallout 4 and we modded Zoe in and the community showed up and raised a bunch of money for Best Friends Animal Society. We had a bunch of our cool internet friends show up, and then we got really stuck in a lot of Fallout 4 because the level of jank with crowd control engaged really does affect the way that game functions.
Yeah.
Well, all of that nonsense was, in fact, for a good cause. Obviously, we're raising money for Best Friends Animal Society, and that's great. But one of our goals was that if we hit, I forget which goal it was, but if we hit a certain goal, which you all did, you all got to name a pet. And we came up with roughly, essentially 3 pet names.
3.
And here's one of them that got named from Best Friends. This is Bandit. I was trying to remember why we named this dog Bandit.
So it was a breakfast following the stream.
Yeah.
And we named all of them after various things that related to stories that like we were talking about that week. And I don't remember where Bandit was from, but I believe
it's a great name for a dog, and this dog looks awesome. Bandit, I believe, has been adopted, which is wonderful.
I believe all of these dogs, in fact, have been adopted by this point.
So Best Friends let us do 3 names. That was something that we weren't expecting. So this is Bandit.
Yeah.
This is Walpole.
I feel like this is an illegal picture because Walpole is so cute. Like, these are unfair because there's no way they don't get adopted after this. This counts as like a form of like hypnosis, right? Because like, look at that dog. Look at that dog. Yeah. Tell me that dog does not deserve all of your love and attention and a home forever.
You know what's cool? Like, that dog, when it grows up, you have no idea what Walpole's beard and face will be like. Like, it's just a mystery right now. Right, it's going to be a chia pet of adorableness.
That's correct. And then the last one, I remember that it was story names because we named this one in honor of the current kerfuffle centered largely around Subnautica 2. Because this is Leviathan.
Leviathan! Dun-dun-dun! Dun-dun-dun! Yeah, he looks like a Leviathan.
Does he?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what constitutes looking like a Leviathan real quick?
This little guy.
Okay.
That's what constitutes
because
it.
When I think of Leviathans, I think of this little guy.
Yeah, a little guy. He's just a little guy. Leviathan is just a little guy.
Okay, that seems correct. Unlike Hobbs and also Subnautica and also, yeah, sure.
Yeah. How big are Leviathan's paws? You know, I always see one of them there. Looks about the size of a normal Leviathan. I don't know. I think, Behemoth, Kyle. Anyway, we were very happy to raise money for Best Friends Animal Society. We realized we didn't share those pictures. I was going through like old emails, and Ash over there sent these forever ago, and this was on me that I just forgot to share them. Yep. So I wanted to get those in at the top of the show because they're adorable, and these animals got helped, and you all did it, so thank you very much.
It's a picture from real far away.
That Thunder knows. We don't even have to explain it, because Thunder just explains it.
All right. Bringing us to the first story of today. Last week's Direct. So, this was on Friday. Yeah, this was Friday. Yeah. Friday's Direct, bright and early. I watched this on double speed the first time because I was prepping for a collab and didn't have enough time to watch it on normal speed. But I went back and watched it later. Chat, how many of you... Okay, so I also want to, like, bring this up as we go. How many of you, when Nintendo says, hey, there's going to be a Direct, do you actually watch them, or do you watch them with a content creator? Because I know a lot of people co-stream them. Or do you just kind of get the highlights later? Because I'm kind of curious where our audience falls on this, right? Because like I try and watch them right away because it is inevitable. It is inevitable that at least one person comes into stream and it's like, hey, what'd you think about the Direct? And I'm like, I don't want to... it looks bad if I go, man, I don't know. Right?
Yeah, stop making Will look bad.
Right. No, it looks bad if I'm if I'm negligent on my my terminally online duties, right?
Yeah.
So
let's see. What do we got here? Annie likes watching them with the folks at Second Wind. We're getting a lot of them coming in here. I watch the direct with my daughter while working. Highlights. Oop. What did I do? I find them. Free memes first.
Yep.
Ditto child. Yep.
Yep.
There's a lot. Sorry, you guys are going quick.
No, these are really good.
But this is actually quite excellent because it at least means that like everyone is engaging with them one way or another, right? Yep. Which means they're worthy of talking about. So I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Watch them live once in a blue moon. Usually jump around between a few. Yeah.
So,
well, this one was chock full of stuff. Obviously, it was Mario's 40th birthday, which was...
I can't wait until we get the 65th birthday of Mario, and they have to announce that Mario is going to begin collecting Social Security and AARP benefits. I'm looking forward to it.
How bold of you to believe those would be still going when Mario hits 65. But regardless... although, actually, New York City has some decent programs. He's in Brooklyn. It doesn't matter. I was really pumped about this. Here's a deep, dark secret of mine, Will. Are you ready for this? I don't know if I've ever said this in a public forum. I've actually never really played Mario Galaxy or Mario Galaxy 2.
Interesting. You're definitely not alone in that for one very simple reason.
The Wii?
No.
I was going to say, what is it?
The concept of down. One of the problems with Galaxy and Galaxy 2 is that down is all very extremely relative, and it makes some people extremely motion sick. Because the idea, like, there are points where you have to, like, jump between planets and just down changes midway through.
Yeah.
It does make some people incredibly motion sick. So you're definitely not alone in that.
It's funny. I don't know.
Yes, chat. You're all very good. Yes. Down is the enemy's gate. Yes, I know. You're so proud of all of you. Pat.
Now, is that the same if you're going down by the river?
It's kind of like if you're going down in an earlier round.
Right.
Because Sugar, we're going down swinging.
What if hold on. What if, though, there's a system of the down?
That's a really great question. Yeah, I don't really know. Is that like dropping the beat because the beat goes down? Is that like that or?
Well, it's okay. It's like that if you go down in a burning ring of fire.
I feel like that's true. I'm just kind of trying to keep up with chat during all of this and trying to respond to Matt and watch chat. Very difficult.
Sorry, we'll actually talk about some stuff. No, I guess I kind of realized that, but I didn't. That's not why I didn't. It's just I feel like at that time in my life, I was not playing a lot of Mario games.
No, that's fair.
I'm quite excited to play both of these when they drop for the Switch and Switch 2. Again, it'd be nice to play it in 4K res, which will be lovely. And I'm curious if the physical versions will be on the carts or not. We'll find out.
I believe I believe the first party Nintendo games are likely to be on cartridge.
Okay.
That is my understanding, and it is interesting, however, that the physical release of many of these Nintendo games will be delayed by at least a month from the digital release.
Right, which is fine with me.
Yeah.
Okay. That's an interesting thing we should talk about at a different week when we have a lighter week.
Yeah.
The difference between the release dates for a digital property and a physical version of that property, because I have thoughts.
Yeah, no, I think I do too.
But we should stay on target.
Yeah.
I was excited to see that. Also, I didn't understand. They're releasing like a physical storybook about Rosalina's storybook, which I guess is an element in the game.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's cool. Is that a big deal?
Yeah. So these are the games that Rosalina was introduced in, and this is sort of like, you remember Mario 64?
Yeah.
You remember Peach's letter?
Yeah.
At the very beginning of Mario 64. Imagine if like that framing device was more present throughout the entire game. And the game was longer, right? Because 64 is not exactly terribly long, all things considered.
Right. Yeah, you can kind of, if you want.
Right. Yeah.
There we go. On my cable. Yeah, I think this is very cool. I know that felt like a big deal that I didn't understand if it was a big deal or not. Obviously, the thing that got me pumped was what if Metroid but on motorcycle.
Metroid on motorcycle does look very good. I know that it only served to deepen Samus's appeal to the lesbians, because the number of women I saw absolutely losing their minds over Samus on a motorcycle was very high. It was very good. Big approve. That was a big one. I also think that they've got a very tricky line to hit with Metroid Prime 4, which is that it has been a myth as long as Silksong has, and much like Silksong, they need to just say less and release it, right? I think that's kind of a thing, right? That like they're just gonna keep teasing it, but like stop, just show us the game and we'll decide for ourselves if it's good or not.
Yeah, the trailer that they showed, what I really appreciated from it was it's not like all on the bike. Like the bike is just a part of it. Like you still go into a ball, you still run around. When you're running around, it's in first person. Like they're not changing like a ton of things. I liked that they sort of tacked it on. And look, sometimes those tack-ons go really, really well. See Black Flag. But sometimes those tack-ons do not go very well. See many other games that are not Black Flag.
That's true.
So we'll see. I'm psyched for it. I need to go back and finish that when they shadow dropped Metroid Prime 1. I got about halfway through.
Yeah, the first ones. Yeah. I thought for me, Mario Tennis Fever.
Sure.
Okay, so hear me out. Mario Tennis has a very weird habit of doing important things to the Mario franchises. For instance, Waluigi exists because of Mario Tennis. I'm not kidding. The original place that Waluigi showed up was because Wario needed a doubles partner. And that's where Waluigi came from. That's where he's from. And the internet loves Waluigi, right? And so that's really cool. I also just like the tennis games as like something very different, right? Than any of the other sports games or the main games, but they do have a story mode here. They do have a bunch of other stuff. The Fever Racket system looks kind of cool, and that it gives you sort of that kart plus rider customization that Mario Kart really thrives off of. I think that's really good. So yeah, I think the Fever Mario Tennis Fever is going to be good.
Yeah, and I also was actually quite impressed with Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. I just really like the art style of it. I'm curious. Yes. I want to see more gameplay of it to see if it's something that I would actually play through, or do I just like the pretty pictures?
So you know what it has big shades of, right?
Yeah.
It has big Yoshi Story energy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely massive Yoshi Story energy. And Yoshi Story was pretty good, right? Like,
yeah.
It had good music. It had good... I apologize for everyone who played Yoshi Story. The... that, right? The thing that's now playing in your head and will be there for the rest of the day. I'm sorry. Go listen to some Saja Boys and you'll get it out in a second. But like that, like the music scape, the different Yoshis, the vibe, all immaculate. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. I'll ping bong off this because I was excited about this as well. Dragon Quest VII Reimagining. Generic is saying that'll be a gift that their partner will give to each other on Valentine's Day, which is very lovely. I'm psyched for that. I'm also psyched, and I know this is not like new news, but I'm still very excited for what's it called, for the Dragon Warrior 1 and 2. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remake or whatever the heck that is. Those games are the game. That was the Dragon Warrior was the first RPG I ever played, and that will be very fun. I think I'll probably do a stream of that. Because that seems like a slow enough burn of a game with new fun visuals that would be fun to discuss and like read while it's going.
Yeah.
And it'd be cool to take something that essentially I haven't touched since I was 12 and like see what I think of it now. I don't know. I think that'd be very fun.
They're also doing the. They also officially announced that the FF7 remakes are making it to Switch 2, which we kind of knew, but it's nice to see them confirm.
Yeah, I think I would like to do again. So many stories like mixed in with this story. Like Nintendo, the Switch 2 and the Nintendo Direct is just like, for a lot of it is like it's the year of the port, right? Like I think Nintendo with the Switch 2 has. I mean, they have their few first-party games, of course, but like, and outside of the other big, property that we'll talk about later, we're not saying the P word until we get there. But the everything is being ported, and that seems to be their like actual business model at this point, which I'm not necessarily mad at.
Right, and next year with the release of Galaxy and everything else, it'll be the year of Starbird. So,
right, of course, of course.
No, I do think like there were a bunch of first party titles that were like launching Friday or over the weekend or in the upcoming future is third party titles, excuse me, that were launching as well. There were a bunch of roguelikes. There are a bunch of other games that are like coming to the Switch and the Switch 2, which I thought was good. It is kind of interesting though. I did want to comment on this. The Direct feels a little bit like breakfast. Okay, hear me out on this.
Go on.
So the Direct starts with completely off-topic, barely relevant rambling for a couple of minutes with, hey, we're sponsoring a marathon, which is cool and like a neat thing for them to do, but it doesn't really reach the American audience as like a relevant thing that like their corporate culture is strong enough in Japan that sponsoring a marathon in Japan is just a cool thing that they get to do, right? So like that thing. And then a bunch of other stuff about, like, we'll say the words. Matt, I'm sure, has thoughts on the Super Mario Galaxy movie.
I'm just so thankful that Chris Pratt is still getting work. I think I was really worried about him.
Right, yeah, that they were gonna, yeah. It would be really funny if they just wrote Mario out. No, not everyone. Just wrote Mario out. Chris Pratt is still the authoritative. It's Martinet
again, and you're like, what?
Yeah, it's not. Mario's not there. It's everyone else. Mario falls into a black hole in the first 5 minutes of the movie, and they never see him again. The end. And then getting into like the Mario anniversary thing, I think it's really cool. They like spent so much time on that, but also it feels like when they do that, it undercuts a lot of the other stuff that they're trying to do with the Direct.
So weirdly, I agree and disagree. I think what I like about the Directs is how not US focused they feel. Like I feel like every Direct or award show or anything we get is like, because they've been memed on so hard, it's not like world premiere like the entire time.
Sure.
But it's still big and flashy and like does the very current social media American thing of like big thing, big thing, big thing, big thing, big thing. Slow down for a second. Big thing, big thing, big thing. Like, and I really wanted, I like that they're like, hey, by the way, so like we really appreciate marathons and we're really proud that this particular marathon. And I was like, it's not why I clicked it. Again, as someone who does this show with you, Will, and we go off on 9 different tangents about whatever K-pop Demon Hunter story we want to do.
Right, exactly.
On a video game talk show, I can't help but feel like a kindred spirit of just being like, we are tiny. We are very, Games for Breakfast, extra credits in the grand scheme of things, tiny, right? It's kind of cool to see a giant corporation just be like, and by the way, we're super honored to be helping out with this marathon. And you're like, what? I don't know. I liked it. I get why it does not feel right because all of the stuff that we ingest is very like immediate and fast and flashy.
Yeah, I think it's
but it feels very, very gooberish. It's a bunch of people doing bits between trailers. They're not extensive or long, but like even just I can't. There we go. Yeah. I
weirdly like that as like a consistent recurring bit, like the snap to trailer thing. I like that. But we should probably talk about the weirdest announcement that came out of the Nintendo Direct, which I don't think literally anyone had on their bingo cards for Nintendo Direct anytime soon.
No.
Which is they announced that coming soon there will be on the Nintendo Switch 2 a Virtual Boy virtual console. Now, you might think to yourself, Will and Matt, how could that possibly work? The Virtual Boy depended on a big clunky piece of hardware because it used like the 2i system to like mimic 3D, and it gave everyone migraines, and like, how would that work? Don't worry. They've got two solutions for you. One of them is a big plastic thing that's like a shell of the Virtual Boy that you can put your Switch 2 in order to make it work. And the other one's a cardboard thing that you can put your face on.
So, okay. I think there are 20. I just counted them. I think there's 22 Virtual Boy games. They said they're bringing 14 of them out. I'm a sucker for defunct technology, and I don't think I'll ever have the funds to like actually get a Virtual Boy that's in working order and like using it.
Yeah.
I think that. Am I chopping?
Yeah, you're chopping real hard.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Oh, whoa, I'm back. Maybe. Who the hell knows? That dipped hard. It's climbing up again.
Yeah.
I think that the way that this is being done, Nintendo. A lot of people I've seen sort of like postulating that this is Nintendo's like kind of want a second dip into what is essentially like a VR-esque system.
Yeah.
Because they kind of did it with the cardboard stuff for the Switch 1.
Right.
And Labo. And this is sort of playing more on the nostalgia thing. And I think that like maybe this is testing those waters. I don't really think so, because it's so okay. I would get this if it was whatever it costs, plus you get all 14 games with that when you buy the hard shell.
Yeah, $100 for the hard shell. Yeah.
Yeah, but if that $100 also had the 14 games in it, day one purchase, I would have it on my shelf. Jamie would get mad at me. Like and that's fine, but that's not what they're doing.
Correct.
What they're doing is you have to have Nintendo Online Plus expansion pack to get the games.
Sure.
And I'm not doing that.
Sure.
I'm just not.
No, that's fair. I do want to clarify. Chat corrected me on this. It's important to note that it is on the Switch 1 and the Switch 2, so that's nice. But
yes,
I also think that there is another reason for this, by the way, besides like the money grab and the
I don't know if it's a money grab. I don't think this is gonna make money. Like that's the thing.
I think it'll make a bunch of money off a bunch of content creators who are like, I'm gonna get it and try it and see how it streams.
But to manufacture something, even though there's no hardware in it, the plastic shell of this thing, it's not exactly a simple shape. Like,
yeah, no, that's fair. I think that they have an internal goal, and it is that they would like the entire Nintendo library to be available on the Switch 2. I think that that's their goal. Because
you're probably not wrong.
They've done a lot of the Game Boy stuff. They've done a lot of the Nintendo stuff and the SNES stuff and the 64 stuff and the Cube stuff. And with the arrival of Tennis and a bunch of the other games that have traditionally been motion controlled, and with the camera, they're slowly working towards complete compatibility with the Wii and the Wii U. So this does feel like it's sort of not really for its own sake, but sort of we had to do this in order for us to say that you can buy every Nintendo game ever made on the Switch 2.
And listen, what a Herculean task if that is the where they're going. Like, I think that is very, very cool. I like the offering. I don't particularly like the business model behind it.
Yeah,
but I think honestly, that's the best read I've seen. I think I agree with that even more than dabbling into VR stuff, because like VR stuff isn't really profitable, so why would they want to do it other than it's neat? And Nintendo does that stuff all the time. But I think another thing that feels far more Nintendo for this entire thing is the thing that Will just said. Say every game is on the Switch 2.
Right.
Or the Switch. Or whatever you want to do. I guess it would have to be the Switch 2 if there was Switch 2
and
specific
like
games.
at that point, right, if it's the Nintendo library is available at, like, if they can just say the complete Nintendo catalog is available as part of Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pass, more people will buy it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. And it doesn't cost, like, other than the upfront, right, of getting it all to work on the Switch 2. At that point, it's sort of just future-proofed, right? And you just keep going with it, right? Which, I mean, makes them more money long run.
1000%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This was not. It's wacky. I initially was like, when I first saw it, I didn't register how the games would be distributed, because this is something, again, for like $100 price point, you get the shell, you get the 14 games. That seems like I don't need to spend $100 for a paperweight that then I have to pay a service continually to use a thing for games that, let's be frank, outside of 2 or 3 of them, aren't like awesome. Like they're fine.
Maybe if you can do that without getting a headache.
If I can't play Waterworld on the Nintendo Virtual Boy, I don't know. I don't want to do anything. Sure. I quit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if that's only that's been less true with the move to the Switch 2, right? Historically, up till this point, I would have agreed with you, but the move from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2 has been different in kind than all of their other ones, right? Like the compatibility rate's about 99%, and the only things that aren't are things that relied on the IR sensor on the Switch 1 Wiimotes.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like if they can say that you can get every game on a Nintendo Online Plus expansion pack, every first party game, right? Then they've kind of done it. Again, I don't even know if that's the best business move, but it feels like a very Nintendo move.
I agree.
Anyway, what a wacky thing. Did not expect to see it. Actually, real quick before we move on, or maybe as we move on to the next story, show of hands in Brad and Janet chats. Who is actually going to get this? Is there anybody? Because like I was there until the pricing model sort of came out, and now I've fallen off.
Is anyone super hyped to relive the golden days of the Virtual Boy by spending money?
I also, not to be too silly about it, like I'm not trying to shame anyone who wants to do it. Like it's a silly thing, but we drop bank on silly things all the damn time. So like, I want to know if this is a silly thing that you are actually interested in.
I'm sitting next to a bunch of Magic cards.
Yeah, like this is everyone's silly thing is a different silly thing. I just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some collectors maybe, not me. Oop, no. Boop, 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 boop. No. Know a person. Yeah, another thing, Sir Nope's got it, like it's kind of the pricing thing, right? Like that's kind of the interesting thing here.
Yeah.
Actually, oopsie, I'm with you here. Buy a real one. I just don't know how much they are or how hard it is to get.
I like almost watchables. No, but I might splurge for the talking flower.
There was a talking flower.
Yeah.
Nintendo is going hard on weird physical items.
Alarmo, anybody? Everybody wake up today with their Alarmo?
I'm not. Again, all these things are not terribly for me, but I'm not against them existing.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's a way for parents to force their childhood on their kids.
That's fair.
In bright red, 3 screens deep.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'll, no, it's not even a fun, I was like, ooh, maybe I'll do this for like a white elephant gift. It's not even a fun one. You're like locking someone into a system that they might not want to be locked into.
Yep. Yeah, correct.
Anywho.
Yeah.
Seems like not a terribly popular thing in the games for breakfast crowd.
Yeah. Next up. I don't know how much this gets outside the roguelike bubble, but one of the best and most influential roguelikes of the past decade, Slay the Spire's sequel has been delayed, and the way that they did it was phenomenal. They're like, hey, we have overreached. Mega Crit is 2 people plus contractors. And they were like, yeah, we need a little more time to get this done. So it's going to be sometime 2026 instead of sometime 2025. And they ended their announcement with, and no, before you ask, it's not Silksong's fault. And I was like, well played.
Yeah.
Well played. I think we're actually going to see a lot of this, particularly because I think it is related to Silksong, but not because of Silksong's release. I think that they saw the public response to the Schreier article about how they just took so long because they were making the game they wanted to make, and they saw the general public acclaim for that, and were like, oh, yeah, we should do that, right? We should make the game we want to make instead of, like, feeling bound to an artificial release schedule. Again, Slay the Spire is one of those, they've made enough money that they can take as long as they want to make the sequel. Games. So it inspires millions and millions of copies. It sort of kickstarted the card-based, like, dungeon crawler roguelike in a lot of ways, in the same way that Isaac did for the isometric shooter roguelike. And so it's kind of interesting to see that. I bring this up mostly because this does feel like the first of many major delays in indie space for, hey, we can take more time.
I also think good. I mean, that's not a controversial thing to say. The secret sauce to making the best game you possibly can is take as much time as you need and as your resources can allow.
Yes.
Like, the reason why games release broken is arbitrarily selected release dates, especially from larger publishers that need to hit it to fill Q2's slot in whatever month that they're in to make sure that the parent company's video game division has enough profits to go into Q3 and Q4 to justify its existence. That's not what Slay the Spire is. That's not what Hollow Knight or Silksong is. And again, Silksong and Slay the Spire 2 are, as you said, Will, sort of like they're in the second round of this, which is like, oh, we have all the money, we can do this. Right. If that is the case, and that case is rare, yeah, there's literally no need to rush out a thing like at that level. And these are high levels of Hollow Knight to Silksong or Slay the Spire 1 to Slay the Spire 2. There's no level, even at the highest echelons of this sort of indie space, where like you gotta get it out in the next 3 or 4 years because like name brand recognition. Like that's not the wheelhouse that these are operating in. Like you will get way more purchasers if you wait the longest you can possibly survive while making it the best game you possibly can, rather than like, oh, well, people are really searching for Slay the Spire, and that's slowly dropping off in the SEO, so we better get it out quick. It's like, that's not going to be the thing that does it in your space. Large companies are built because they kind of have to do that because they're, engaged in a different kind of war. But that very rarely leads to the best possible product for us to be playing.
Yeah. So I also want to point out that there's another weird thing that is very true of both Hollow Knight and Spire. And Isaac is in this too, except Isaac's decided to go the DLC route rather than the new game route. And that is, there are entire channels whose entire content base is those games. There are people who still routinely get thousands of viewers across multiple platforms to play Slay the Spire in goofy, weird ways. They exist. I've watched some of them. They make great content, right, for a game that hasn't significantly changed since The Watcher released, largely because releasing The Watcher was a mistake. I will fight people about this later. Right, and so that's a thing that a lot of mainstream games don't get quite as much. Nintendo games get the closest, right? But even, we were looking at this last week, even Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom have kind of fallen off in comparison to where they were at their heyday when they were pulling in thousands of viewers for like speed runs or challenge
Sure.
runs or completionism stuff or whatever, right? So
Yeah, it's I'm happy that they are delaying it.
Yeah.
Delay more games so long as it does not tank your company and or your workers. Give them more time, plan for a longer planning period than you think you will need, and make sure your resources can support that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Again, in this space, there are, I want to make it very clear, there are versions of when you release a product where you need to hit at a certain date because of X, Y, and Z. I'm saying things in the genre that Slay the Spire 2 is in, and the situation that Slay the Spire 2 is in, they don't have to do that, and they've realized that.
Yep.
Which is great.
Correct. All right, speaking of things that came out maybe a little underbaked on some platforms, let's talk Borderlands 4.
Borderlands 4. Well, we were talking about if we wanted to play this last Thursday.
Yeah.
I really want to be hyped for Borderlands 4.
Right.
Because it's the Borderlands series, especially 1 and 2, are games that I played through with a bunch of my friends. Obviously, I'm friends with Mikey, Movies with Mikey Newman, who was instrumental in those games, and his writing and everything has been phenomenal in those. He was the voice of Scooter as well, I believe. But I feel like the Telltale game had a good story too. I felt like with Borderlands 3 and Tiny Tina's Adventureland, which had many elements that I thought I would really like be vibing with, I just sort of fell off the train. And so when Borderlands 4 rolled around, despite the fact that I have many friends who were playing it, I didn't really jump on it. And Will, how are you in the Borderlands franchise in general before we kind of...
I was good on 1, 2, and Tiny Tina's, and then no real interest in the pre-sequel. I tried 3 and found it lacking in anything that might draw me in, and then 4, I was like, oh, it releases... I didn't know that 4 released last Thursday until Twitch sent me a notification last Wednesday that I could join a waiting room stream and get special emotes by waiting for Borderlands to announce live on stream, or waiting for Borderlands to release live on stream. And I was like, why would I do that? So yeah, like it doesn't, I miss Blood Gulch. I miss OG Borderlands. Like, before we got into all of the intergalactic stuff and the everything. No, I just want to be like a drifter who shows up, gets a deck from Claptrap, and then is off to Pandora, where like we don't know anything about the larger world and we're not having intercompany Zaibatsu style conflict or whatever, right? And so, for me, I think Borderlands outgrew what I loved about it, and that's okay, right? That's not to say it's bad. It's just not for me as much anymore.
I hear the gunplay in 4 is like second to none. Like the thing I'd heard even pre-release from some folks was that like it rivals Destiny's gunplay, which I was like, ooh, you had my interest and now you have my attention. And so I will get to it eventually. Just my dance card is quite full. And it's funny, if the Steam reviews are to be believed, it seems as though PC is not the place to play it.
That is correct. I have watched content from content creators who tried to purchase and launch the game only to have it blue screen computers that are well in excess of the listed specifications for Borderlands 4. They are not only in excess of the minimum specifications, but in excess of the recommended specifications, and it just crashes, or blue screens, or like not even gets through compiling shaders, like launches and then crashes. And there does not seem to be terribly much rhyme or reason to whether or not a particular computer is capable of running Borderlands 4, and the instructions that are given by the support team in the Steam reviews are pretty worthless, in my opinion. They're like, yeah, you should change to these settings, not acknowledging that you can't change the settings if the game won't launch. So
yeah, I mean, like it's always hard to see. I did see though. I mean, on the contrary, I did see tons of people playing and streaming this game. Like there's still people that it's working for. It's just there's also what is it mid now? Is it mid rated on Steam at this point? Like it's kind of like a. Do we know the actual
I can look
ratings thing? Also, while you're looking, Swiper, hello, no swiping.
Borderlands 4, by the way, it came out again, $70 game, right? Pitchford said it was supposed to be more. It is currently 65% positive after 21,773 reviews as of time of recording.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There's a bunch of different reasons. Lots of people have said it must be drivers, it must be processor, it must be this, it must be that. Nobody knows for sure. No one's given anyone any concrete explanations. We've got a bunch of theorizing, and it just isn't. I'm gonna say for me, it's not worth $70, right? Like as a PC gamer, right? Why would I, right? Like it. I was sort of tenuous on the idea of playing Borderlands 4 at best. But then $70 and a bunch of work to make it run. Nah, I'm good.
Yeah, a lot of people in the chat are saying just going to play it when it's optimized. And I think that's kind of the vibe here. I know I will play this game at some point. It will most likely be in whenever it gets cleaned up. Although even I think I would probably, because there is cross play, I would probably get it on PS5 regardless. I'm used to playing Borderlands on consoles.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think I'll sort of end this story with this. I really want Borderlands to succeed. And look, from an overall launch, it's going fine, but they definitely need to address the PC stuff and stuff. I will say this, at PAX, they had a giant booth with gorgeous statuettes and you could play it and whatever. Did I talk about the Smash booth, Will? Did I talk about this in the show?
No.
They had a rage room. And essentially, what the rage room was, is you could go in it and for 30 seconds break a bunch of stuff and smash things and hit barrels with a bat and like go nuts. And on the surface, wow, what a cool thing. In actuality, if I was a paying booth haver in literally within 10 booths of that booth, I would have raged and asked for my money back or like, because it's literally just like the loudest smashing noises you've heard. I actually, when Jeff and I walked into the convention center for the first time, we heard it for the first time. We thought something went horribly wrong.
Yeah.
Like, so marketing side of things, that's not the best. But I do wish the game all the best that it possibly can, and hopefully it gets fixed soon. Because at the end of the day, when you're running around with your friends in these games, so long as the gameplay is solid, they have been some of my favorite times gaming has been playing like a Borderlands or a Borderlands 2.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and of course, by the way, Borderlands always better with friends. Like always, 100%.
Yeah.
Like it's not.
This is an interesting thing. So. Writing a story for a game that you're playing with 4 people running around like psychopaths at the same time.
Yes.
Has to be so difficult, and not even just like from a structural, like what's happening perspective, but how that information is being not only exposited to you, but how important that information actually has to be to moving the game forward.
Yes.
So when people are like, oh, like the gameplay's really good, but the story's like whatever, I'm like, I mean, I guess for Borderlands, I'd be okay with that if I was having so much fun with my friends, you know? Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, oopsie, you bring up a great point. I bought the Borderlands collection or whatever on PS4, I think, when it was 4-player split screen. Like, that to me, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, just really, really cool.
Yeah. There's also, by the way, a whole bunch of other stuff about Borderlands, which we won't get into because I don't find it nearly as relevant, but I am aware that they changed the terms of service and did a bunch of stuff with anti-cheat, and it's got de novo and a bunch of other problems on PC. I am aware. It's not.
I'm not convinced that de novo is the problem here.
I think there's a plethora of problems, one of which might be de novo, but it's impossible to say for certain.
I feel like while de novo is a problem in many places, it has become the sort of like, oh, well, it has this, so this is the thing. It's like, we don't know. Like, it's not good, but it's not
I would need someone better at computers than me to pick it apart and tell me why it's happening.
It's not the smoking gun of it. It's a dumb thing that shouldn't be needed, and if you're providing a good enough service with your product, you will still make more money than trying to protect against the piracy of it, et cetera, and so on and so forth. Piracy is a distribution problem.
Yep.
Anywho.
All right, we got time for this short story, and then we'll do ads, and then we'll come back. We have a new champion, a new hero, a new leader. I just thought this was fun and interesting and cool. The Screen Actors Guild, SAG AFTRA, had their elections, and Sean Astin is the new leader of the Screen Actors Guild. Cool. Great. Awesome. I love the idea that we've gone from Fran Drescher to Sean Astin leading the Screen Actors Guild. And this, you might be like, but Will, this is like a gaming show. Why are you talking about this? A reminder that the Screen Actors Guild does represent an awful lot of people in the video game industry, both in terms of motion capture and voice capture. This is a relevant change to the leadership of a union that does influence the way that video games get made quite a lot. I'm real excited by this. It was kind of funny though. There was a comment in the Discord that Sean Astin looked significantly older than the last time anyone had seen him. And for everyone who hasn't watched Stranger Things, that's true, because the last time you saw him, he looked like this, and that was 20 some odd years ago.
Yeah,
it may now turn to dust. Yeah,
but it is. Yeah. No, I'm happy with this. I think, how old is Sean Astin? Let's just look that up very quickly. Sean Astin, age 54. Great. Yeah. Okay. So Sean Astin is of the age that I feel like might have, and I'm not saying Fran Drescher didn't have this. I'm just saying like, I like it that actors in this sort of range, or people in this sort of range, are now taking leadership roles in the Screen Actors Guild.
Yeah.
Because it's not just going to be movies and television. It's going to be new media. It's going to be internet. It's going to be gaming. It's going to be a bunch of things that I feel like if you've grown up with them, you will have a easier time getting a good handle on. And we'll see how his policy does, and we'll see how his negotiation goes when contracts go up and all that jazz. But overall, from what I've heard from folks in the industry, is people are very happy with this. And I guess it's just second breakfast for everyone. Yeah, right?
I think the important thing, too, about the Screen Actors Guild is that you need an effective communicator, because the Screen Actors Guild is a union that is very forward-facing, because it is made up of a lot of people whose names and faces you likely and voices you likely recognize from media that has influenced you, right?
Yeah.
They may have not been responsible for the entirety of the words that they said, but they were responsible for the performance, and it's likely influenced you in the way you think about the world. And so having an effective communicator in charge of SAG is a big deal, and I think good.
And also, yes, you brought up in chat, Darth, that Patty Duke, his mother, served as the Screen Actors Guild's president from 1985 to 1988. So, family business.
Yeah, long time ago. All right, now it is time for advertisements. We're going to do fake ads while you get real ads, or while you, part of Twitch Chat, gets real ads for things you can buy. We're going to do some fake ads for things that you can't buy, and we'll be back in like 3 minutes. Matt.
Will, would you like to go first?
Sure.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Hi there, Will from Rex Credits here. Have you felt like crap recently? Consider actually going to sleep. That's right. Instead of doing the thing that you've been doing, which is staying awake doom scrolling, or staying awake staring at the wall, or staying awake playing too many video games in a futile attempt to feel something again as the world collapses around you, go to sleep. That's right. Actually sleep. Actually rest yourself. Close your eyes and have dreams about weird, feverish things. It's fine, but like, go to sleep. stop trying to do all the other stuff and like actually sleep. I promise.
Well, I think that's a very important thing you just sold our community. How much does sleep cost?
It's free.
Excellent. Wonderful. Okay. Well, so I'll sell something else that is, okay. Hi, everyone. Matt from Extra Credits here. My friend Will here just sold you the concept of sleep, which is very good for your health. But also, have you tried going outside? And the reason I say that, it does the same thing as sleep, and if you use it in moderation with sleep, it's actually really good. Case in point, I played about 5 hours of Night Rain this weekend, and then I felt really good about myself in one way, but bad about myself in another. So what did I do? I went out with Jamie the Goblin Queen herself and some friends, and we went hiking. And then we went for the woods for about 4 or 5 hours, climbed a mountain, and guess what? Found a real-life Everjail. I have a picture, it's real, and it felt like I was exploring in a different way. So I think that while you should also sleep for your mental health, definitely also go outside. I couldn't hear the music end. I would have ended that sooner.
No, it's good. Going outside also good. What about sleeping outside? Great question. Probably don't.
It depends where you are.
Yeah.
If you're a camper, if you like camping, I think sleeping outside is dope. It's just a matter of bye. It's just a matter of safety and preparation.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is I should sleep outside. You know what? Sure. Great. You know what? You all do that. You don't want to go to the woods there. That's where Shia LaBeouf lives.
I mean
actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf?
Actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah,
I will say this. I'm going to tie this back to gaming. One of my core memories growing up was when I was real young. My dad was trying to get me into camping. And he did succeed, spoiler alert. But before that, it was really hard for me to go do this. So what he did was he set up a tent in the backyard, and then, I kid you not, ran an extension cord and brought our TV outside so we could play Nintendo in the tent.
Yep.
And that was like a real gateway for like little baby me to like be like, oh wait, this is cool. Like, yeah. So I have a fond memory of that in a gaming context as well.
Good. Excellent. All right.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Everyone's back from ads.
Hooray.
All right, everybody get your screaming voice on.
So to be clear, real quick, these critters are not technically the critters we're talking about. The critters we're talking about is critters with a Z, so you know they're good. This is from the 1986 film Critterz, which the Internet Movie Database states is a film about, quote, a group of small but vicious alien creatures called Critterz escape from an alien prison transport vessel and land near a small farm town on Earth, pursued by two shape-shifting bounty hunters. That is not what we will be talking about today. But when I Googled Critterz, trying to figure out what to do for this graphic, and also not wanting to reward anything in this experiment in any way, shape, or form by showing the actual thing we're talking about, this was the closest thing I could come up with.
That seems fair.
So Will,
OpenAI is backing, whatever that means, the creation of a new animated film called Critterz that will be made largely, in their own words, with AI in the hopes of convincing Hollywood that it's time to go all in on AI content creation tools. Coming to us from a report from PC Gamer, talking about a report from Wall Street Journal, and with some original diving of their own.
Yeah. So essentially, there is a short you can go look at right now if you'd like.
But don't.
Well, called Critterz with a Z. And look, there's up front, I don't like this. Let's just put that on the table. However, as we've discussed before, this AI garbage is not going away. So what is the best way to engage with it? I mean, hopefully the bubble bursts and that actually answers a lot of questions. But until then, here we are. essentially, if you read, and you can look in the show notes for this article, but essentially, and this, it's funny, this is a PC Gamer article. It's referencing a Wall Street Journal article, and the Wall Street Journal, I believe, is behind a paywall, so you have to, deal with that as you will. Essentially, what Critterz did was they made to celebrate a new version of OpenAI, they made essentially like a little 5-minute mini short movie with all these creatures that were generated by OpenAI. And from what I understand, it was scripted by a real person and that was voiced by a real person, but the art and the imagery that you saw was all AI. And you can kind of tell just the way it looks, right? And now they're trying to make it into a feature film. And they're spending roughly $30 million on it, which is far below what you typically spend on an animated film when you pay actual people to do the work.
Right, and by far below, Matt means that by comparison, Toy Story 4 had a budget of about $200 million.
But Toy Story 4 will, to be fair and balanced, had a soul.
Okay, cool. So we have the price on a soul, and it's about
roughly $170 million, I think. So we're all rich.
Great, yeah. I'm not using mine. Anybody want it? Cool, 170 mil. I'll tell you what, it's slightly used, 150.
Yeah. To be fair, mine is not in the best shape. I would go down to 130. If we have any buyers.
Right, yeah, 130 mil. Yeah. Say,
regardless.
Are you there? It's me, Virginia. Anyway.
Yeah. So the story does the end of or in the middle of this article, it reads, the presence of humans in the production is expected to serve a purpose. This is what I hate about this. This is the worst part about, not the worst, it's one of the worst. The presence of humans in the production is expected to serve a purpose beyond merely ensuring that the film isn't complete gibberish. Okay, that's a low bar, but let's continue.
Okay.
Nick Cleveron, co-founder of the production company Native Foreign and co-creator of Critterz, said, AI-generated content can't be copyrighted, but the use of humans to create images and voices of the film's creatures will be based on should make it eligible for copyright protections. Now, yay on AI stuff not being able to be copywritten. That will cause that will make it so humans will have to be involved. But with that quote, it does kind of say the quiet part loud.
Very loud.
In the sense of this is made essentially solely for profit.
Yes.
Like, because there's nothing stopping any creator from doing a small project about an IP that they've developed and created and done. It's the AI of it all is making this thing balloon into swinging with the big guns by taking away, again, you're taking away cost. It's going to be cheaper, but you're also taking away the actual human element of what makes a film a film. Mm-hmm. Like, and you're kind of just skipping that and saying it's not needed.
Right. So
I would posit to succeed it is. Maybe I have too much hope for society at this point, but I don't know.
Okay. So I've realized something as we've had this conversation, and I feel like it's an apt comparison that I'd like to pitch to all of you.
Let's go.
AI consumable copywritten productions, I hesitate to call it art, AI schlock that is being copywritten and sold to an audience for money is the new version of a perpetual motion machine. That is to say, it by definition cannot exist, right? Because that's not how those things work. And yet, large numbers of people have spent a large amount of time and money and effort trying to convince people that not only do they exist, but they exist for a reason, and that you should spend money. But if we peel back the curtain, we'll always find something that needs to be put into the system, right, to fix the problems, right? Because perpetual motion doesn't exist. So you'll always find like an electromagnet with a battery hidden below something that doesn't look like it have an electromagnet in it in an attempt to make it look like perpetual motion, in the same way that they're trying to make it look like AI, but they know they can't, right? Because like exactly what Matt said. Not only can they not make money off it if it's purely AI, but also it doesn't work because it could just be gibberish, right? They have to hammer the prompt so many times to make it not gibberish that, like, there has to be a human element, which makes it lose the virtue, and I'm huge scare quoting the idea of virtue right there, of being an AI-generated thing.
What it's doing is making it so they have to pay less humans. They're paying the minimal amount of humans in order to make money off of it. I mean, that's kind of what it is. And, like, so the original Critterz trailer, which I did watch. This is not for the film. It's what the film is going to be based on. I watched it before the show because I wanted to know kind of what it was. Is a serviceable, jokey, David Attenborough-esque kind of like narration thing that kind of collapses in on itself about wildlife they find in a forest that with critters that essentially start talking back to the narrator and doing silly things like, what if we're critters with a Z? That's not copywritten, and they wear like merch and stuff, and like they do like, and truly, it is a serviceable YouTube video. It really is. Wow, AI built this. Great. I'm sure the thousands upon thousands of people whose art and information was scraped in order to make this happen are really happy about it. But what it does, and like even, it's funny, even in its writing. Actually, I would almost encourage you to watch the short from in more of an academic sense, not like is this entertaining sense, because the way the script is built, it hits all of the kind of easy tropes that things like this do. Like the critters start becoming a little bit more self-aware. Like they start talking about like, oh, we could do merch. We got to do it with a Z. Then they're wearing a hat, and then they talk about like needing therapy, and like it's all very like you scanned the internet for phrases that seem to come up a lot in content, and a script was built by a human or no. Like just putting all those things in one thing together, and they're not. It makes sense, and some of the jokes, the simpler ones, are funny, but it has nothing memorable about it because every idea that it's saying has been done before. And that's not to say you can't take an idea and make it better that has been done before, of course, but I've yet to see a machine do it. So I guess my point behind this whole story, and this does sort of affect, and actually, I don't know if you all saw across the interwebs. There was a small HTML game that was sort of going around Blue Sky called Doom Scrolling. Did you see that pop up at all, Will?
I don't think I did. I think I heard about it, but I didn't see it.
It's a picture of a demon at a computer. A person I follow made it, and then a couple stories picked up on it, and then I played it once. It's serviceable. It's fun. It's a little thing. That was a thing that was like basically totally vibes coded. Like it was coded with AI, and you get into the sort of idea of like, and again, in that specific case, because it is not a thing that is made to be making money, it is not a thing that like the developer of that is not profiting in a very direct way off of that, doing a HTML game, and just sort of like someone who is not a coder coding that way, not for profit or taking away an actual actual coders' jobs or people in the space or whatever, I have no problem with. But it's something that we're going to have to, as these conversations get more complex, kind of deal with in the game space. Obviously, AI slop is everywhere on Steam and a bunch of other spots.
PlayStation.
And it's coming to film. And it's always a tricky conversation because you don't want to limit an actual artist's tools, but you want to also make sure that those tools are not taking away artists' ability to do work, and those tools are not directly, like the people who make those tools are not directly profiting off of people's work that they are not paying.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And that's a hard, as all this stuff, because the gamut of what AI is vast.
Right.
So like, Like there's all different levels of it, right?
Yeah, because it continues to be one of the greatest disservices that generative AI has pulled, that it's poisoned the idea of all expert systems, right? Because there are precisely trained expert systems that would be dope for use in gaming that aren't consuming tons of power or stealing copywritten material or right? There are some very silver bullet uses of a good, well-designed expert analytical system in gaming that are now being poisoned because people are like, oh, we should use generative AI instead, right? So it's either getting yanked in the direction of generative AI, or you have to pitch it in a way that makes it clear it's not generative AI. But generative AI has kind of co-opted all of the language around expert systems in coding to such an extent that, like, it's not possible to have that space for, like, an actual useful tool.
Yeah. Also, I want to make it clear, we've been talking about the story longer than I thought we would. Critterz, the 1986 film, has nothing to do with AI. This is a graphic I put on here to not use the graphic that Critterz with a Z uses. Yeah. We are talking with Critterz with a Z. Critterz with an S is a beloved schlocky film from the 80s that, to the best of my knowledge, unless they had a time machine, used no AI.
Excellent. All right. Are you ready to talk about other companies that are doing things that they probably shouldn't be doing?
What are you talking about? Is there something else going on in the industry that is being a little bit more... All
right. So let's talk about the rest of the Nintendo Direct. So the other part of the Direct that happened felt an awful lot like Nintendo and the Pokemon Company giving up, or like, I don't even know. So they pitched, so let's be very clear. Pokemon ZA, which will probably be one of the biggest sellers of the Nintendo Switch 2, is not out yet.
Yes.
And yet the release information for this Nintendo Direct for Pokemon ZA was that there would be Raichu-based DLC for Pokemon ZA. It's not out yet. Why are you telling me that there will be addition, but it's not out? Like, if it's done, and like, why didn't... I'm so confused. Why? Right? Like, why are you doing this? What?
Is this true, Nevik Link? Is this true?
I believe this is correct. Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay, cool. So that's one whole thing, right? Is now Pokemon has already decided. So okay, let's look at this. So ZA will not only be in the new price bracket, but also demands that you own a Switch 2. I believe, unless ZA is magically on the Switch 1 and I missed it, but I'm reasonably confident it's Switch 2 exclusive. Chat, correct me if I'm wrong on that, please and thank you. But
it's funny, pro and con to both of those things, I suppose.
Okay, it is on Switch 1. Okay, good.
Yeah, I figured it. I figured they weren't leaving that money on the table.
Good. I missed that bit. Thank you. That's very important to know. Okay, so you don't necessarily need to buy a new system, but it is going to be in the new price bracket, and it's going to have $30 day one DLC. And then,
well, hold on. Let's before and then, let's talk. Okay. This is just I want to talk about just this story. We're going to get to the patent thing, I promise. But for the terminology of this conversation, chat, I just want to focus down on this. At what point does the Pokemon community, a little bit like the Magic community does sometimes, start sort of like being like, no.
Right.
Like, is there one? Because, like, from a business perspective, and again, not from a consumer care perspective, this will probably work well for them.
Correct.
So
there's an entire group of people that will buy every Pokemon game and only the Pokemon games.
Yeah. Like, what's the breaking point here? Because I am not in the Pokemon, honestly, like, community. I fell off Go. I started Scarlet, but could not really get into it to continue it. I know the ZA and sorry for my ignorance here, is this more like, it's more of an action oriented one, right? It's like Articus in a way. Is that correct, or am I completely off the ball?
Yeah, this is more. Yes, and chat. Okay, yeah. So, and chat has a very relevant point that I want to interject back in here, right? It may not be available day one, but if they're asking for your money for it to pre-order a thing on day one, then I'm not sure that's really a difference.
Yeah, it's a bad look.
Right. Like, it doesn't really matter when it's delivered. If they're asking for you to pony up for the base game and the DLC at the same time, it sort of serves functionally the same system. Right?
You know what would be an interesting... Wow. You know what would be insidious, but I find a less insidious version of this? What if a game, Pokemon otherwise, did this? What if you buy the game within the first week, you get the DLC for free?
Oh, like an early adopter bonus?
That's awful, but is it less awful?
No.
If with enough time to tell I'm just trying to think of, like, okay, companies, if you're going to be greedy and short-sighted, is there a better way to be greedy and short-sighted and hurt less people? I don't know if I believe that is even a solution. I just sort of thought of it on the whim, right?
Right. Well, and pre-order bonuses are generally much smaller than...
Smaller. Yeah, like it's like get this skin or you get the gobbledygook gun pack or whatever.
Right.
Like...
And this is a great question as well from Pixie, right? Isn't this the same as game launching with other editions that include future DLCs like Borderlands 4? Yes.
The additions...
And...
Yeah. The additions are the different thing, right? Like but like I'm saying, what if this game was $70 or $80 and if you bought, like, this isn't selling you like the $120 version of the game and you get the DLCs. This is, what if it just like gave you it in the first week? Again, that would be a confusing thing the more I'm talking about it, the less I think it works. But this, from what they are actually doing and not my mad lad mind, this is essentially no difference except it's two purchases. I don't know. I mean, maybe they will have a thing where like you buy the whole thing for 120.
Yeah. It feels like Pokemon, the way that this feels to the consumer base, feels a little different because of how old the Pokemon franchise is. Right? So Red and Blue, I played on a black and white Game Boy. Yeah. So they had the notch. A reminder, and this may, like, if you remember this, you're old. Sorry, take your ibuprofen. Remember that Red and Blue had the notch, so you could play it on the OG black and white, big, gray, chunky Game Boy, because it had the little thing to keep the cartridge in, right? And so it had to have the notch, and it wasn't until later that they got the non-notch versions that you could only play on the Game Boy Color, which didn't have the Switch thing, right? Okay, great, yeah. Awesome. So, like, this has been around for a really long time, and we've seen this progression, right? And it feels worse and worse, and every time they do this, it feels like a further departure from its roots, right? Versus other games which have come into prominence in the era of DLC, right? Or in like the more modern era of DLC, like where we sort of expect it because that's in its DNA from like the generation in which it was formed. But like Pokemon, I remember Blue and Red. I remember those. I think I have my copy of Blue somewhere if my brother didn't swipe it and sell it. But like...
Also, I don't have a problem with the concept of DLC. Hell, you want to be like real sort of like skeevy about it? Keep developing it. Cut the okay, I think I found my problem. Hold on, I got it. Games have been doing this for years now. They either don't have it depends on the company. It's either they don't have the budget to make the DLC right away and then they release DLC later, or they're making the game and they chop off a chunk of it to sell later as DLC. However you want to, whatever you want to do. But it seems like for a while at least, companies had the courtesy of not talking about that before the game launched or around exactly when the game launched if it wasn't a live service game. I think it used to be that's just something that happens later. Then with the prominence of like roadmaps of things for that are more live servicey or something along those lines, or sometimes there's not, like Borderlands 4 has a roadmap to its DLC, etc., that you're selling at the same time. But now it's gotten so brazen, and they know that the majority of the consumer base is going to pay for it, that they don't even pretend. They don't even pretend or obfuscate to like act like this isn't in fact a problem. It's just like, nah, this is what we're doing. Haha. And like, I think there's a level of disrespect that I think gets me, like, it's like the little bit over the edge that kind of pisses me off the most about this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it does. It feels like it lacks even the barest hint of the, like, fake / pseudo genuine excitement that Nintendo normally has about its expansions, right? Like,
you're undercutting the literally the act of being excited for the act of hype.
Yes.
That's a weird broad sentence. But I think like excitement versus hype, this is the difference. You are trying to generate hype to make more money as quickly as you can without even pretending to give a shit about the actual excitement a game will provide.
Yes.
If you cared about that, you would want people to have that excitement for the longest period of time. And that you shouldn't eat the whole tub of ice cream at the same time when you crack it open. You just probably shouldn't do that.
Right.
Like, you get enjoyment of it continually. And again, I know you buy a carton of ice cream once. My analogy is not perfect. I'm hungry. The point is that this just throws that decorum kind of out the window. And that feels bad. If I was a member of the Pokemon community, this would be a thing that would buck me the heck off. But I also understand that it's a very privileged place to come at. A lot of people, parents and their kids love this stuff. You want to make sure your kid can play this game. There's the FOMO of it all. Like, and again, these are small problems, but like small problems can feel big to kids. Like, oh, well, your parents bought you the Pokemon game. Well, everyone else at school has the friggin' mega evolution of Raichu or whatever. And like, they don't. And now your kid feels bad.
Right. Yeah.
Like, and I know I'm talking about like weird specifics, but like.
Well, and this is the specific case, right? It's not, the chat asked, like, are we upset that they're catching up with the industry? Yeah. Because they're one of the Pokemon, for better or worse, has to be regarded in a category of its own. It is the most expensive and profitable IP in the world, right? And it's also one of the longest running game series, right? That still receives regular primary titles, right? And so those things mean that we feel it keenly when they begin to do this, because even if the rest of the industry is doing it, when they do it, it's a more obvious departure from the way things used to be, right? Like, it seems like it's the last vestige of a tipping point that they're just like, cool, great. Like,
and I think Enclave brings up a really, really excellent point that I wasn't able to articulate. I'm feeling absolutely zero FOMO, which is remarkable since I used to love Pokemon. I just have zero drive to own this game. I don't think that's just you aging out. It could be. I don't think it's like, you moving on to different things. Also, I mean, it could be. But I think what's going to happen, and I think what companies don't realize, especially when there are so many different choices of media and your free time is shrinking and shrinking, that when you shotgun blast this stuff out, at this cadence and price and sell a DLC before the game is released, right? Or the pre-order or whatever, you're generating what would be considered like overall hype, I suppose, for the game. Heck, we're talking about it, but it's not going to give that excitement. It's not going to give the positivity that it actually needs. It's like noise, but it's not going to give substance. Yep. And I think more and more people we'll just start seeing like, and again, someone brought up Magic the Gathering sets, other things, etc. You're going to start being like, this is too much. I'm kind of done.
Yep. Okay. So people,
anyway, sorry.
I think we've got a perfect part into the next part of this, which is FOMO. So people are talking about FOMO, and some people are saying that, FOMO is a thing that they're experiencing, and some people are saying that FOMO is, not a thing with Pokemon because it'll always be there, except they also announced, and this one went slightly under the radar because a lot of people were annoyed that they pre-announced premium DLC for a game that isn't out yet, that the Kalos starter trio will have Mega Evolutions. So that's cool, right? That Mega Evolution is the gimmick for this game. It's a return of a previous gimmick. Just know that each Pokemon that's going to Mega Evolve needs a specific item to do so, called the Mega Stone.
Obviously.
That's a thing. You need a MacGuffin. All right, great. Excellent. So the starter trio of a beloved series of Pokemon games are getting new forms, and everyone's super hype. But, and here's the big old but, you have to play and win online ranked games in specific seasons to earn the Mega Stones to evolve those specific beloved starters, which means that not only are you buying the game and paying for the premium DLC, you need to pay for a online subscription in order to play online to get all of the content that should probably have been in the base game.
Will, as a MacGuffin scientist, I would say that sucks real hard.
It does. It do. Correct.
I'm glad I went to 6 years of MacGuffin school to be able to figure that out.
Correct. So, that's huge FOMO. According to the Gamers reporting, Season 1, which starts October 16th, will only be Mega Greninja's Greninjite.
Of course.
Right. Delphox's is after Season 1, and Chestnut is after Season 2. So, that's cool, I guess. So now, not only are we gating, we're now, like, they're turning into wizards, right? And, like, I am already sunk costed from high heaven to low hell on Magic, right? I am not a reliable witness when it comes to Magic things. But I don't want to see another game go down this thing where you need a chart to figure out which products you need to buy to get which specific evolutions for Pokemon you already have. That also seems weird. And people may be like, yeah, well, the 2 versions thing. Yeah, but the 2 versions didn't come with a subscription. Now, there's the Pokemon Home thing, and that's a whole separate issue, right? But that is also a service that has other value given Pokemon Go and all of the other games that you can connect through Pokemon Home and trade your Pokemon back and forth and all that.
It does really show that, again, it's there is a social contract.
Yeah.
Where we pretend like corporations don't actively hate us, and we give them money for products that they lie and say they care about.
Yep.
And that's a dismissive, very boiled down nonsense take on it. But at the same time, like that the social contract is like, we ignore a thing and you keep kind of doing things that are bad for us.
Yeah.
This is something that is, again, another mask-off moment of, oh, this actually really isn't about the game being fun online.
Correct.
This is about making people feel like they need to be online to experience all of the content that the game that they bought has.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say that other games haven't done it. That's not to say that, that is a good thing anywhere else. That is to say, sort of like announcing that this was a kind of a thing, again, for a game that is not out yet. Like, and announcing it like it's something to be excited about.
Right.
Feels off.
But all of that may simply be a smokescreen. Because the real Pokemon news this week is neither of those hideous stink bombs of FOMO and piecemeal purchasing. No, the big Pokemon stink bomb this week is this diagram.
One of many diagrams, not just this diagram.
I think this diagram is pretty emblematic of it. So, Pokemon was granted a patent. Number 12,403,397 by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office without objection.
Okay, good number. Really great number.
First off, U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, shame on you. Shame on you. We're going to yell at Pokemon for a whole bunch of this, but really it's your fault because you should have objected for like a whole bunch of reasons we'll talk about. So let me be clear that while we're upset with the Pokemon Company for filing this patent, under no circumstances should the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office have granted the patent, let alone granted the patent without objection.
Now, before we go into the nightmare that this sort of patent could turn into, there's a couple different things too. Just so we're very clear, the U.S. Patent Office, due to other things we're not going to be talking about today,
correct,
is completely underfunded. And since I think February until May or June, again, this could be conflicted, but I know this happened for a fact in different places, had a pure hiring freeze that they could not hire new people, and they desperately needed more people to go over patents and applications because there was a backlog for years. But in February, they froze it. They let them not hire people, even though they're not a taxpayer-funded institution, and the entirety of their the way that the patent office makes money is through patent applications. I don't understand why that makes it so the government can tell that business, that government business who's not being paid by them, that they can't hire people if they need people. Again, I'm not a government business scientist, but that particular group, for various reasons, is completely underfunded and understaffed.
True.
It is under the current stewardship of Coke Morgan Stewart, who used to be the deputy and now is the acting main secretary as of February, I believe. And so at the end of the day, the buck stops with her. But there are it's not just shame on you office. It's the office itself is kind of broken for reasons beyond the office's control. I'm not saying that they're warriors fighting for a good thing or whatever. I'm just saying, much like everything else, there are complications beyond just Pokeballs here, right?
Yeah. That is a good
context, but we can continue with our little video game show.
Correct. Okay. So the patent suggests the following 7 points. Okay? We're going to go over them in brief, and then we'll summarize. There must be a PC, console, or other computing device that the game is stored on a drive or similar storage medium. You are playing a video game. You must be able to move a character in a virtual space, so a video game. You must be able to summon a character. They call it a sub-character, by which they mean it's not the player character, but, for example, little monsters such as a Pokemon, the player character has at their disposal. Or Ashes in Elden Ring. Or. And you can fill in all of those ors. Then there's a logic branch. They could have a character, the sub-character, be summoned to fight a specific enemy in a location, or summoning the sub-character to just wander around and potentially get in a fight. And then the final step is in actually getting the sub-character to get in a fight with another NPC character in the game. So basically the patent is, if you're playing a video game and you have a summon and it gets in fights with things, that's covered by this patent now. That's the patent.
So it's funny. I just looked into the more. So I'm going to go back to the patent office, the United States Patent Office. So there was hiring freezes. Their backlogs that used to take around 2.5 years is now up to 3.5. There's also a bunch of retirings and leadership departures that have happened during this time. And during the hiring freeze, they could only bring up and not replace the lower people. And there were return to office mandates that basically forcing the return forcing a return like that is seen throughout institutions to cause sort of mass exoduses of people anyway. So they got a whole bunch of problems there. Going back to the Pokemains, not the streamer, the actual creatures in the balls. So, okay. This went through, but many people, and I actually want to get Jonathan's take, our lawyer friend Jonathan. I'd love to get Devin's take. I'd love to get sort of a bunch of people's takes on this that are like familiar with the law. But my layman brain looks at this and says, okay, cool, you have this patent. This isn't something that's actually going to be enforceable, because you could just show literally any work from any time before this patent that you had on something that is a system like this and essentially win. The issue is, and what this is setting up in a dangerous precedent, again, in my unlearned, non-legal advice opinion, because I am not a lawyer, I am not a law boy. Maybe we could ask Arthur. I don't know. What this does is sets up the ability that Nintendo could do to sue a game, let's say like Pal World, even if they know that this patent won't hold up in court because it will take millions of dollars to defend. Right? Like it's not a slap lawsuit like that, but it's sort of like the tone and tenor, the vibe of it feels similar. I don't know. Chat, let me know if and when I am feeling wrong here.
No, this sounds correct, right? That the purpose of this is that they are aware that it won't hold up to a test of prior art in court. But as long as they hold it, they get to spend Pokemon money on Pokemon lawyers, and they get to just try and hold it, right? Which means that no one who's not the size of a significantly large company that has money that could be spent on AAA games really has a chance, right? Like this should be, the way the legal system probably should work in this case is someone goes, I challenge this patent, there's prior art, here's the example of prior art. I have filed the patent. There's no chance for a lawyer to be like, well, actually, but that's not how it works. Right? Now there gets to be a fight. The best you can do is say, I challenge this, and now there's a law fight. Right? And like, that's the hard part, because you're going up against Pokemon lawyers with Pokemon money.
Yeah. Like, and there's the other element of this, which is just patenting, essentially dancing around the idea of a game mechanic. Yep. Which in general will stifle creativity, etc. Like there, you know.
You remember the patent on playing games on loading screens?
Yeah, Bandai Namco.
Right, and that's why our loading screens have sucked.
Yeah,
because there's every reason to believe that you could have a little mini game on a loading screen, but there was a patent that said you couldn't.
Yeah, because 20-year patent. Did it run out?
I believe it ran out recently, but no one's really started doing it because it's not industry standard, because industry development was stifled by the presence of the patent.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Right. It doesn't matter if it wore off, chat. The industry's patterns are now have been altered by the presence of it. So the way that those things flow and the accepted ways of doing business have been altered by the presence of that patent, potentially irrevocably, right? Could they do it now? Yes. Are they gonna? I don't know. Right? Yeah. Or Shadow of Mordor, or. Yep.
It just feels like, in a way, going down this path of, oh, well, now companies, or, you know, not now, but like, this is a very broad, like, the Nemesis system is probably the closer to this than the Bandai Namco load screen thing. The more of these we see, the less companies will be able to innovate. And the thing that, in my opinion, other than nostalgia and brand recognition, that actually keeps Nintendo alive, maybe not on the regular, but like in the full long term, like when we're talking decades, is innovation. There is no way that, given a long enough timeline, having this happen will also hurt Nintendo. Because they won't be allowed to do X because Microsoft patented a thing. Like, it's I am being a bit probably overly alarmist for, you know, my gaming lifetime, but I think that there's some truth to just the idea that normalizing this kind of thing will inevitably stagnate an industry.
Yes.
Given a long enough timeline.
Correct.
I don't like. I was trying to think when we were sort of researching this topic about like, well, what's the fight back here? Like, what could companies do? Especially small ones, right? Like, and it would have to be something like I don't know what the essentially like. It's not like class action, but it would have to be like a bunch of small groups coming together with a bunch of examples or something. Like, again, I'd like to talk to a lawyer specifically about like hypothetical recourse.
Yeah. I also think that this is another great example of a way in which the patent system just completely falls apart in the presence of software. Right. Again, a reminder that copyright and trademarks and patents don't work with software, like at the most basic level.
Yeah.
Like,
and
copyright on the copyright is there are several legal fictions that are required to make a computer function with material that is copywritten, by the way. Like, it just doesn't work, right? Like, at all. And this is sort of emblematic of that.
Yeah. And people are saying like they know some folks like legal video game folks. We have contacts there too. I'm going to reach out to some folks to see if they want to do an episode or do something on it because, you know, and again, it's not like this was a fast patent either. This is something that's been, I'm sure, in the system for ages and finally got approved. Again, they are slow rolling. They're not. This is not a thing that they did last month and all of a sudden it got approved, at least from my limited knowledge. This still needs to roll through a system. Yeah, Devin, Legal probably will not be whom I call, considering, I don't know if you've seen his release cadence, but he's dealing with much other large things right now in the world. Yeah. Yeah, it's not. I wish sort of this story had a bit more of a happy ending for it, but sadly, I think this is just the beginning of this story.
Yep.
And yeah, also Legal's not a patent lawyer.
True.
I wish there was a better take other than this is bad for industry. Oops. But we'll see how this shakes out. I think that the first tenet that will have to be tested is like if a large enough company goes after Nintendo with this, or if like oh God, every time I think of a solution, it brings up another problem. Like, what this will essentially do is stifle small creative industries, not the large ones. Because if Microsoft did a Monster Battler,
they already
right, but Nintendo's probably not going to go after like specifically Microsoft's Monster Battler. They're going to go after smaller companies that they know they can outspend in court.
I also do want to just real quick just inject this note. We've been saying Nintendo a lot because they're the primary driver of this. The Pokemon Company jointly holds this patent. They're also listed as a holder of the patent, so this does mean that for freezies, they get to use Pokemon money to fight whatever they want. So, and remember, we were talking about Pokemon earlier being the most valuable IP in the world, and they have more money than all of the gods that you can possibly imagine put together. So, just keep that in mind when we're talking about fighting this. It's not merely fighting Nintendo. It is both fighting Nintendo first party and the Pokemon Company. Right? That's important.
It is interesting, Kenshi. Honestly, U.S. patents are not reviewed for fairness to my knowledge, and that's why they're not audited in any other country. The courts decide if it's fair. And I believe Nintendo also holds this patent in Japan.
That is all, yes. Nintendo has held and
the Pokemon Company.
Right, yeah. They have held very similar patents in Japan. Japan's patent system, however, is something that I'm even less familiar with.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to pretend to know
we're not,
anything.
Yeah.
But in the two countries, the one I live in and the one where this is from,
yeah,
they have it.
Yeah. So like, it really, it's not gonna. Someone's gonna have to choose to take on Nintendo over this, I think, and it's not gonna be anyone small.
And also, this is the other thing too. Like Nintendo, obviously, and Pokemon Company, huge dogs, etc. But like, if this actually got into like a thing versus a Microsoft, like, which I don't think it will. I think this is made to stifle smaller things and not let things grow big. The gamble that Nintendo is taking is that no one big enough to beat them will ever. Well, it's funny. It's actually a pretty good gamble because the only way that this would be challenged in a court is if Nintendo brought up the patent. But then actually, I'm not familiar enough with patent law to know, like, if you don't defend a patent, does it weaken? I guess it doesn't, right? Like,
no, it can get struck. If there's I believe, and chat, please, as always, correct wrongness. I believe that the way it works is if someone issues a challenge and says, hey, we did this thing before they issued that patent. We have done a similar thing before there was a patent in the way that they were doing it, and it covers exactly the same thing, and we can show that it came out before their patent did.
Yeah.
Then that can erase the patent, which is where the legal challenge comes in, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. Trademark is the one you actively have to defend. Patents are a little different. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, super great. So, again, in like 1 week, ZA went from being a thing that I was like, oh, this is cool and great, to like, what? It's dead to me. I'm
not buying that thing. I'm not even, like, it's funny. Sometimes, back in the day, I tried Scarlet because we were doing a panel on it. Like, now I'm not ever going to think about doing a Pokemon thing at one of our panels again. Like, it's just, why?
Right. Exactly. So yeah, let us know what you think.
Also, seriously, and obviously in chat now, and Brad and Janet, or if you're on Nebula, let us know on Blue Sky, Rocky. But in the comments on the YouTube one, leave some stuff. If you work in this industry or you have thoughts about it, like from a professional standpoint, if you're involved in patent law, etc., I'd love to hear what folks are saying about this. Yeah. Because and you'll see in our show notes, like, the different people that they've quoted in a couple different articles from either IGN or PC Gamer or, any of that stuff. People have been saying, like, people in the business have been saying how ridiculous this is. And basically what we're parroting is, like, this is to deter smaller groups from being able to survive a patent, a challenge from Nintendo, even if Nintendo and Pokemon Company know that they couldn't actually defend this in court, given infinite time and money.
Yeah. Thanks, I hate it. All right.
Yeah.
Are we ready for a little scoop of good news? Little scoop of good news.
Just a dollop.
Just a dollop. Hades 2 is leaving early access, finally, later this month. Good stuff. If you, like me, were waiting and not playing Hades 2 in early access because playing Hades 1 in early access was one of the best ways to ruin Hades 1,
right?
It'll finally be out, and you can play it. I'm super excited for it. I'm looking forward to playing it here on stream, on the Rogue Review, and other places. I'm going to get, like, a day with it between when I finish Silksong and when the Tactics reboot comes out.
Yeah.
I have, like, very little time. So I'm going to need to, keep my controller hands limber and chase after this. But I'm super excited. Supergiant's long been a favorite studio of mine, and I am really excited to see what they do with this iteration in the thing.
I'm pumped for it. I think I'm probably going to wait for a physical edition of it on the 20th. I have too much to play. And not enough time. So I think that's what I'll be waiting for. But I, too, am very excited that it's dropping. Again, much like Silksong and Hollow Knight before it, I was not on board right away with Hades. I just didn't play it until, like, a year or some change after the fact. So it'll be really fun to, like, be a part of the community, figuring stuff out, learning, etc. I know it's been out in early access, but
yeah,
still really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's everything we've got for today.
I think so. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah.
For a real upbeat Games for Breakfast.
Woo!
If the thumbnail of a patent didn't really get you on board with what we were talking about today, I'm quite sorry. But no, listen, not every one of these is going to be full with bright eyes and bushy tails. Sometimes it's going to be some nonsense we just got to talk through and start conversations that we know are in no way finished in the hour and a half to 2 hours that we broadcast this.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But thank you all so much for being here. And thank you, because I imagine by now a bunch of you have already left comments. If you're watching this later, thank you for leaving good constructive comments and starting good constructive discussions, right? We know there's a lot to be upset about, but having a good conversation about the extent of these problems and the ways that we can approach these problems and not just devolving into incoherent screaming about these problems is something that our community is particularly good at, and I want to thank all of you for continuing to do that. So yeah.
Well, I guess the only thing that's left, Will, is to go into our end of the show, which is the same every time. Again, building that sense of community and togetherness in a time when we really have to foster that, I think.
Yeah.
And so everyone at home, please, you know this ending. You love this ending. Please say it with me until next week when you join us for Games for Breakfast. Everybody, say it with me now. This show is also patented, and you may not do any version like it. If there's anything in our 7-point system of how your show is in comparison to ours, you may not actually put it on air. 1, 2 people talking on the internet. 2,